973 Nick Abbott. Coming up after the new news at 10 on LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 10 o'clock, the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, has called for peaceful protests after he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for illegally selling state-owned gifts. He was found guilty of failing to declare money earned from selling the items he received during his time in office, following an inquiry conducted by the country's election commission. Mr. Khan denies any wrongdoing and is expected to appeal against the decision. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky claims Moscow has bombed a blood transfusion centre in the Kharkiv region. He says some people are dead and others have been wounded. Earlier, Russia said it would respond to what it's calling a barbaric terrorist attack on a civilian ship in the Black Sea. The intelligence analyst Louise Jones has been examining Kyiv's tactics in those waters.
It is a commercial vehicle, and what they've done is they've targeted it very close to the key bridge that connects Crimea and Russia, where there's a lot of commercial shipping that gets very canalised. It has to wait before it can go through these really narrow straits. And what that does is it means that these tankers are quite vulnerable whilst they're waiting there. And so Ukraine has noticed that, and they've started moving their drones to target, vessels that are in this particular area.
Organisers of the World Scouting Jamboree in South Korea are being accused of making a complete mess of the event by parents. Extreme heat has seen thousands of British Scouts leave the camp and stay in hotels in the capital, Seoul. Around 400 teenagers have also been taken ill. Annabelle Shackleton's son, Aaron, is there.
The site wasn't quite as prepared as it should have been. Potentially, lack of food, lack of shade, not very good sanitation.
The 12-day event is still going ahead. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo insists improvements are being made. France says it will firmly support efforts by African countries to ensure a coup in Niger does not succeed. A group of African nations have set a deadline of tomorrow for the military to reinstate the ousted president or face military intervention. Mediation has so far failed to solve the crisis, which is threatening regional security and has drawn in global powers. And regulators in the United States have cleared the use of the first ever pill to treat postnatal depression. Data from clinical trials shows the drug can help to ease symptoms after just 3 days. The condition is expected to, or believed to, affect 1 in 10 women in the UK. LBC weather, strong winds and heavy rain will gradually ease as Storm Anthony clears to the east this evening. Breezy overnight for many parts of the UK with a few showers and an overnight low of 11 degrees. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Tim Daly.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Oh, hello there. Very nice to meet you.
Well, let's get back to it.
Teats. Teats and udders from last night. Valerie texted, "We have stopped storing gas. That's why it's so expensive. Like everything else, the government sold everything." Well, I'm not sure that's entirely true, Valerie, but even if it isn't, it doesn't prevent it from being a fact. Di says, 30p Lee now wants to be called 33p Lee. He admits it's a struggle to make a meal for 30p these days. But not to order one in the House of Commons because, their food is next to free because us poor dopes who pay taxes pay for it for them, The
little people.
Not leprechauns. Mike says, "I'd like to state your glamorous assistant deserves more money." More? He says, "Do you realise that he would get a Mickey Mouse watch and a piece of string?" Not to mention a Peppa Pig annual. You get a Peppa Pig annual.
Peppa Pig World. Peppa Pig World it has...
Yes.
Peppa Pig
is the right answer. Very good, Bodge. Very good. It's a good boy. Now get back in the corner. You've delighted us enough. Elaine says, "Do you remember when Boris began whittering on about Peppa? Hey, these two fit side by side. Wow, it's almost as though this show's been planned, as opposed to put in a bucket and chucked off the side of a building." Elaine says, "Do you remember when Boris began whittering on about Peppa Pig World at a business conference? I'd assumed he's taken his kids there, but after hearing Fishy Anorak, Speaking of Star Wars so excitedly, I'm wondering if Bojo went alone and had to go on all the rides. He was going on about Star Wars. Well, I ruined it for you yesterday. It's his dad. Yeah. I'll repeat my tweet of today. It was a tragic misunderstanding. Apparently, Fishy Sunak went to Disneyland and was locked in overnight in the Snow White thing. It wasn't a ride, was it? It was a facility. You know, when you get on those... I guess it was a ride. And the Snow White ride. He was locked in overnight with 6 of his co-workers to dig diamonds. It made him grumpy. Simon says the results of a recent poll reveal the disgusting attitudes of an alarming number of Brits. Here are a few lowlights from the poll. 26% of Brits think, okay, well, I've got that. I've got all that information. Don't worry about a thing. I'll come to that shortly. What people think. Never ask people what they think, because the danger is they might tell you. Okay, let's see now who's been waiting the longest. Blimey, I haven't been on like 6 minutes already, and people have already been waiting a long time. I'm very bad at my job. Rochester, Lulu. Lulu.
Very bad at it.
Are you talking to us from the International Space Station, Lulu? No, but if you just said, can I hear you all right, then the answer is no. And furthermore...
No.
Yeah, I expect that my glamorous assistant might want to call you back on a better line. Or just not. Depends on his mood, I suppose. Bloomsbury, Sophia.
Good evening, Nick. How
yes,
are you?
Sophia, I'm super. Thanks for asking.
I'm glad to hear you.
Are you?
Yes.
Are you?
I'm glad, like to know that people so concerned with management these days.
What?
But we got the reply back from Westminster.
We?
Yes.
Who's we?
Well, me and Simone.
Simone, right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
should have said.
Dancing around looking like something out of
Are
the
you
ring
dancing?
We were, yes.
I'm asking.
In the corridor. And the very dull Solomon came along and said, you shouldn't let the management see you do
Solomon, yeah, well, yeah. She's such a buzzkill, Solomon. Yeah, I don't know why I don't know why you invite her around. Honestly, I don't.
Well,
you're better without her, Sophia.
Better to try to keep her away. That was the main problem.
I'll say.
But they're getting so management conscious. The parties. People who nowadays we want to have.
Who's they? Names. I want names, Sophia. Who are they?
Well, I'm just saying for my master's thesis.
Name them and shame them. Who are they?
My master's thesis. Alan Turing is now on the back of the £50 note.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well,
I could only dream of having a £50 note.
Yeah, well, as Keats says, beauty is truth and truth is beauty. And,
who said that?
Yeah, in the 1830s.
Keith said that.
Well, Keith is another one.
Keith.
Fighting in the war.
He certainly is another one, yeah.
But we don't want to take the money away from
well,
people
you certainly are making a lot of sense, Sophia.
Who have earned it, it's this.
Quite right.
I mean, I'm partially sighted, but I mean, if people are very handicapped, they still might get the cure. If they want to fight it back, then... their money is theirs. There's no way other way.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Thanks a lot, Sophia. You really have set us straight on a whole raft of issues there. Excellent start to the show. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. No, I have no idea either. I expect it's my fault. It's my fault, isn't it?
Yes.
Rochester. Lulu.
Oh, I'm back, darling.
It's
They've got
you.
me on a better line.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you're not very bad at your job. I want to just say that. You're very good at your job. And thank God for you, because a lot of us would be, like, opening our veins if it wasn't for you.
Oh, come on, Lulu.
No,
please.
no.
That's a terrible thing to say.
Yeah, but you keep us sane. We are living in a terrible, terrible time.
We're living in a world of make-believe.
Well, if only it was. My God, but
wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be marvellous if this was an hallucination?
Oh my God, wouldn't it? But you know what? So I don't want to do politics tonight because I am at the end of my rope.
But.
Well, no, I'm not going to go there. I don't even know where to begin.
No,
where do
but,
you begin?
Lulu. No, but.
No, but. No, seriously, I want to talk light-hearted stuff. So I loved your call last week with Jonathan. Now, honestly,
who's that?
Jonathan from Harrow. No, he's from Harrow. You always say, Jonathan, Harrow.
Harrow?
Hello.
Yes, Harrow.
Yeah.
Hello.
Harrow.
Hello.
So that starts me off, giggling right from the off. But he is comedy gold, but your interjections are superb.
They're I'm world famous for my interjections.
Your interjections are world class. And I tell you what, if my pelvic floor wasn't so strong, I would have had a bladder accident with laughter.
Lulu, this is way too much information.
Disgusting.
Well, I'm just sharing.
Yeah, sharing a little bit too much, if you don't mind me saying.
I know. Forgive me, but I want you to carry on with him because it is just hilarious.
I have absolutely no idea who you're talking about, but never mind.
You know the man.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Trust me, I never listen to this show. The host is a chump.
I know you don't listen to this show. And secondly, I just want to, on a musical note, because I've been out to lunch with Liz today, and we came back to mine for a
Liz.
short...
Is that tin-eared Liz?
I've had to pour her into a taxi. I've just got rid of her now.
Well, she is notorious. Booze. Yeah.
She is terrible. Yeah, she is a nightmare.
I think she's leading you astray, Lulu. I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
It's like, is it me or is it her? I don't know. But anyway, so we had a disco, a little dance. That was lovely.
Are you having a disco? A dance? Yeah.
Yeah, we did all that in the kitchen. And then I shared with her some musical genius. Are you familiar with Bootsy Collins?
Of course. Who isn't familiar with Bootsy Collins? James Brown's bassist.
Yes, he is the most genius. So there's if you go on YouTube.
On YouTube.
There's a concert from 2011 at Vienne in France. It's like a jazz thing. Oh, dear God, it is just superb. So I put it on, and I was telling her all about Bootsy Collins. I was giving her all the background, and she's like, watch this. Oh, it's great. Who's he again? I thought, at that point, I had to pour her into a taxi and get her home, honestly. But
just get her out of there before...
Get her out of there,
before there's any unpleasantness, and you have to call the police.
I know.
Again.
Yeah. Oh, and one last final thing before
and
we leave
in closing,
you. In closing, this person, Ollie, who texts you, he's a troll. He's always like, ooh, you're such a lefty, Nick. If only you gave Mog a chance, blah, blah. He is a troll. Do not read him out. He is just doing it for effect.
Again, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. But anyway, it's excellent to talk to you, Lulu, if that is indeed your name. Cheers, my dear. What do you think, Smug?
My view...
Oh, please. Kieran says, I'd bring back wing doors. Why do we still have cars with doors that swing out in the line of moving vehicles? Well, that's a good idea. Exactly. Unsafe. The amount of people that I have to swerve onto the other side of the road because they're parked and they think, it's my right, I can do what I want. And they just open their doors fully into the road and bounce out of their car into oncoming traffic. I don't really understand that concept. I really don't. I mean, they just assume that everyone else is going to mitigate for their stupidity. That we, people like myself, superb drivers, have to then, swerve around them in order not to have them bounce off your bonnet. I mean, just a little... I think it's called a Danish look, isn't it? Or is it a Swedish look? I don't know. It's a Danish look. When you open your door with your other hand, so if you're in the driver's seat in this country, you open the door with your left hand, thereby twisting your entire body, but it turns you around so that you can see out of your door before you fling it wide open. Because it's your left hand, you can't push the door all the way open, so you just turn it a little bit. And I think it's called the Danish, or the Dutch reach, that's it. And it's, that makes it sound awful.
Disgusting.
The Dutch reach. Oh. Please. Was that the name of a video you just rented? Can you believe that? This show is in the toilet already, and it's not even past. I'm appalled. Anyway, The Dutch reach.
I think it's disgusting. I really think it's disgusting. I think something should be done about it.
Something should be done about it. And you just look out of the door, and it's for bikes. You can more or less tell if a car is coming at you, or a lorry, something huge like that. It's like a moving building coming towards you. That would send warning bells. Warning! Through your mind. But you don't really experience the same sort of sensation when bikes or bicycles are coming towards you. So that's what that Dutch reach is all about, and that's what people should do. Hey, I do believe I'm actually helping people. Am I helping people?
No.
Well, a little bit. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. By the way, if you're new to this programme and you think, what on earth is going on here? It doesn't get any better than this.
This is LBC.
Find your lost sounds. Book a free hearing test at Specsavers.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
What in places goes on inside that head of yours?
Best not to ask. 0345 6060 973. Paul texts, let me get this straight. Mr. Sunak blames the 7 million strong backlog on striking doctors. He has zero security at his constituent home. I don't think you mean that. Close, no cigar. He has zero security at his constituent home. He's announced 13 new diagnostic centres to be handled by private firms. Well, that is one way to cut the waiting times on the NHS. Create new list, says Paul. What's zero security at his constituent home got to do with it? I don't know. I'm mystified about that, plus everything else. I don't think he lives there, does he? Because some eagle-eyed journalist took a close-up shot of one of his windows upstairs, and I do believe that they'd rotted. So I suspect that he doesn't actually live there, does he? That's not the place that he had that swimming pool built, is it? That's somewhere else. One of his many, 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 many homes in which he can, connect to the people. He's just a normal geezer, like the rest of us. What an absolute shit. He's the Prime Minister of this country. Can you believe that?
No.
0345 6060 973. Chingford. Hello, John.
Oh, hi, Nick.
John.
Is it John from Chingford?
I don't know. Is it?
Oh, yeah, no, sorry, you normally say John from Chingford. Anyway, good evening.
I did just say John from Chingford. Listen to me when I'm speaking to you.
Oh.
Coming through clear as a bell.
Just
John in
hello.
Chingford. Yes, John. Hello?
Yeah, just a two-parter, if I may,
yeah.
On cinema. Have you seen Oppenheimer? Because you said that was on your list.
It is on my list. No, I have not seen it yet. The only thing I've seen lately is the Mission Impossible, which was... Okay, it's not a 5-star movie. It's like, say, 4 out of 5, but there's very few 5-star films. But I do feel that if you came out of that movie and were disappointed, then you'd be, I don't know, a bit hard-hearted, really. I mean, the man... This is a spoiler alert. Warning! Close your ears if you don't want to know anything about it for the next 10 seconds. The man actually drives a real motorbike off a real cliff. What more do you want?
Yeah, actually, it's underperformed at the box office, which is a bit, it's, I think, number 16 in America and worldwide number 8. I mean, that and Indiana Jones have not actually garnered the... There's some strange trends in cinema. I mean, the number one...
Listen, I bet the number one box office movie is Barbie.
No, not yet. I mean, the only film to take over $1 billion worldwide is Super Mario.
Well, I rest my case. Don't judge a film. Wait a minute. Don't judge a film. Hello?
Hello? I'm still here, sorry.
I know. That's the tragedy of it, John. No,
this was a pleasure, Nick.
Is it? Don't judge... Well, I'll see to that. Don't judge a film by its popularity. The greatest films that have ever been made were deeply unpopular on release. All the most popular films are just popcorn for the eyeballs.
Yeah, well, that's the point I was trying to make, because, I mean, in America, it's Super Mario, Barbie, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Little Mermaid.
Yeah, children's films.
Yeah,
Oh.
But I mean, you know, the thing that attracted me about Oppenheimer is actually a blockbuster made for adults.
Yeah, very, very unusual. You don't see much of that. I tried to get into Oppenheimer.
Yeah, no, you did mention.
I'm repeating myself. Is this
on earlier shows.
Is this a complaint call now?
No, not at all. It's the reason I'm talking about Oppenheimer, because you said you were going to try and see it at the IMAX or something, but it was fully booked. You
couldn't get in. You couldn't even get in at 9 o'clock in the morning.
What?
How is it that people are going to see a film at 9 a.m.? How early would you have to get up?
Yeah, I mean, Barbie will probably do number one. It's number two in America. Can you
rephrase that? Can you rephrase that? Is that a new facility for the Barbie doll? Because they used to they used to have one that cries, and now really that is a step up in technology. I had no idea that they'd managed to do that, or that anybody would want a doll that did that.
Anyway, I think I've made my point, and you've been very generous with your time.
Okay, well, if that's the way it went for you, then John, then I couldn't be more delighted. Number one, you say? Ahmed says, yesterday you told off your assistant as they nearly made you lose your job by reading builder's language with a text live on the air. Yes, that's right.
Dreadful.
He says, I think you should say what you want now, as our esteemed rulers have lined up for us high-skilled and exciting delivery jobs waiting to be filled. Is any of this making sense? It's probably the way I'm reading it. Yeah, I see. It's my fault. Shall I start from the beginning?
No.
He said, yesterday you told off your assistant as they. There's only one, or are we saying they now as one person, just in case you make a pronoun mistake? Yesterday you told off your assistant as they nearly made you lose your job by reading builder's language from a text live on the air. I think you should say what you want now, as our esteemed rulers have lined us up for high-skilled and exciting delivery jobs waiting to be filled. Please bring a spare application for me when you go to get yours, says Ahmed. Get your own blooming application, Ahmed. Not a delivery service, not yet. Although that does appear to be in my future, and yours too. I can't believe it. I was going to talk about this last night, but, we got sidetracked with the issues. All of these people kept calling me. I don't know how they get my number. But I was going to talk about this, so maybe I'll get into that in a minute. But, again, I've got just this enormous list of people that I've got to get through here. God. Hull. Charles.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Charles.
Leaving centre of Hull, pouring down with rain, get on the bus, and I find myself sitting next to two young ladies speaking an accent. And but the giveaway, one of them says CC.
CC.
So I'm wondering, right. So I said, excuse me, sorry, but are you from Spain by any chance? And they said yes. I said, what are you doing here? I'm freezing cold. And the whole of the bus cracked up laughing.
The whole of the bus?
And
there must have been a very, very loud conversation, Charles.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's Hull. Everybody talks loudly. But then I got off the bus in the rain.
That is a true fact.
And I looked to the heavens and I shook my fist to the skies. And I said, God, why? Why?
Why
God?
is this happening
why?
to me? Yeah.
Why are you treating the UK like this?
Yeah.
And the clouds came together to spell the word Brexit.
Okay, thanks a lot, Charles. If only I had the foresight that that's where it was going, I could have saved myself 3 minutes. Speaking of the weather, at least 10 people have been killed in floods in... Now, I've got no idea how you pronounce these words, so I'm just going to give it a go. I mean, it couldn't possibly be offensive if I get it wrong, could it?
Yes.
At least 10 people have been killed in floods in the Hebei province of northern China. China. After I had no idea I was going to do that. It's like an instinctual reaction now. Every time I see the word China, I do that. If this was TV, you'd see I'm doing the hands as well. Like I'm playing an invisible accordion. China. At least 10 people have been killed in... This is nothing funny about this. Why are you laughing? At least 10 people have been killed in floods in the Hebei province of northern China after torrential rains battered the country. Storm Doksuri, a former super typhoon that hit mainland China this week, brought the most severe rains since records began 140 years ago. Now, keep that phrase in mind, because it seems to me that everywhere you look, they're recording weather that is the most severe or the worst since records began. Am I right? Hebei province, which neighbours Beijing, has been one of the most affected by the rains. Officials announced the deaths today in Baoding, one of the province's worst-hit cities, around 90 miles from Beijing. By noon, more than 600,000 of the 1.5 million residents have been evacuated. 600,000 have been evacuated from areas deemed to be at risk. Torrential rain hit northeast China for a second day, battering the provinces bordering Russia and North Korea. A red alert remains in force in Beijing due to what's called geological risks, such as landslides linked to the bad weather. Clean-up operations are ongoing after the largest rainfall in years, which destroyed infrastructure and flooded entire districts. China has been hit hard by extreme weather in recent months, from record-breaking heat waves to deadly rain. Natural disasters caused 147 deaths or disappearances last month, after the heaviest rains since records began. China's Ministry of Emergency Management said 142 of the deaths or disappearances recorded in July were caused by flooding or geological disasters. The director of the Institute of Public and Environmental Affairs said that while the typhoon had brought the rain, rising ocean temperatures due to climate change were also causing the extreme weather. He said China had suffered unprecedented extreme heat waves since last year. This year, there are record-breaking high temperatures in northern China. These heat waves are linked to global warming, and this is what most climate scientists around the world would tend to agree on. So we've had record rainfall, depending on where you are in the world, record drought, record storms, record low ice levels, record high sea temperatures. It's just one record falling after the next. And numpties and nincompoops, in response, will say, oh, it's just weather. It's always changed. The clue is in the phrase, since records began. Unprecedented. And yet, as the evidence mounts up, the usual suspects seem to be digging their heels in ever harder. Those people. I think that the human race is... I think we've actually peaked. We were becoming smarter for quite a long while there. Haven't we done well? But I think maybe in the 1970s, somewhere around about there, I think the human intelligence peaked, and it's been going downhill ever since. That's the only explanation I can find. We aren't going to do anything about it until it's too late. Until our sofas are floating out of our living room windows. Then we'll think, oh, yeah, maybe it isn't weather. 0345 6060 973, text 84850, email nica@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10, Nick Abbot, LBC. 10:30 on LBC, the news headlines with Tim Daly.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
A big sack of monkey nuts.
Yep, a big sack of monkey nuts. That sounds about right. Yeah. Mike texts, Nick, I just got back from the UK. I could not believe how cheap food is compared to the USA. I got a sandwich for £1.40. In the good old USA, it would cost at least $6. Yes, Mike, but the difference between here and the US is that you get paid twice as much. And absolutely everything else is cheaper, about half the price. Cars are cheap. Well, yeah, cars are about half the price. Petrol's about half the price. Homes are half the price. Clothes are half the price. Everything except food. And you get paid twice as much. So just keep that in mind. Keith says, you should show more respect to the Prime Miniature Fishy. I'll keep that in mind, Keith. I'm going to make that my number one priority.
It's the country's number one priority. It's my number one priority up and down the country, and that will be our focus.
He's gripping it.
I'm gripping it.
He is gripping it. If he stops gripping it any time now, I will let you know straight away. Beverley, East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. Yeah. Just a quick thanks to start with. Last weekend, you pointed out that the Offensive Man is back on the box.
Oh, yeah.
And I've watched 9 episodes of it.
Have you?
Almost exactly 50 years from when I first watched it.
50 years ago. I know, it's extraordinary, isn't it? It's 50 years old. And it's, I haven't started watching it yet, but I will. But from memory, and all those old programmes are kind of the same. And the difference between then and now is people used to be able to pay attention to someone when they were speaking intelligent thoughts. Now, everything has to have a musical background, and the presenter has to wave their arms around like they're directing traffic, and they have to be moving across the screen on a bike or a moped or running or something in order to keep the attention of goldfish.
Yeah, he in fact, spends most of his time with one hand stuffed in a pocket.
Yeah.
But no, it's good. It's I'm old enough now to not agree with all of it, but nevertheless, it's certainly mind-opening. Well, when you're 13, you watch something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like the gospel, but as you get a bit older and a bit wiser, you look, and it's 50 years old, so give the guy a break. I mean, things, an understanding of stuff has changed a little bit since, but no, it was great. I appreciate that. Yeah. I would have missed it other than that. But the other thing, this set of idiots we've got in charge now, for performative cruelty, a lot of them.
Yes.
The latest thing I came across today is that Afghan asylum seekers who are currently housed in hotels paid for by the Home Office are going to be evicted on the 31st of August, and they have to throw themselves on the mercy of their local council housing department, who are short housing. And so when they get people like that, they put them back in hotels. It's absolutely unbelievable that they are, but the council has to pay for it, not the Home Office.
Yes, and of course your local council can't provide libraries or social care or bin collections or anything that you would normally expect your council tax to pay for, because the council has been defunded by central government, who just wants to make it appear as though your council doesn't care about you, particularly if it happens to be a non-Tory council.
Yeah, so the net result is that the Home Office spends less money, but our services get cut because they're not going to increase the grants to local authorities. Yeah. They can only put the council tax up so much. But what a ridiculous blaming system, and this is single people, families, a lot, are going to be evicted on the 31st of August. I mean, what's going on? I mean, some of the stuff you can think, yeah, this is sneaky, it's political, there's a real purpose to serve themselves out of it.
Yeah.
But this just goes beyond the bounds
of human decency, yes, or sanity. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's becoming a bit too much. The stuff you read. I mean, I have to stop myself on Twitter because you just get lost in this. You're just like sucked down in this eddy of despair because it just never ends, and you get more and more irate, and you think, well, how can they possibly be getting away with this? And I just have to close it down and step away from the computer, because otherwise I'm going to ruin my day, and I haven't digested breakfast yet.
No, I must admit, you could get. I mean, I can get angry and then sort of let it go a bit. But if I didn't, you would actually get depressed looking at all this lot, thinking, how have this lot got to be in charge?
Right. How are they continuing to be in charge? How have they managed to stay in charge for 13... It's been 13 years, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, at some point there has to be progress, and I just hope people think least worst option, as you keep saying to people.
You want people to think? You're waiting for the public to actually make the right decision? Well, OK, fingers crossed, mate, but don't hold your breath. All right. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Rafi says, did you hear Orange Jesus now has 78 criminal charges stacked up?
Oh, shut up!
Yeah. Yeah, and his fans...
I love the poorly educated.
...love him ever more. It's the same thing with climate change. You present people who have already made a decision based on no information of any kind whatsoever, that with the information that they have made the wrong choice, and their response is to double down, dig their heels in ever more, and believe ever more fervently in the wrong thing that they originally decided on. These people, those... It is painful. Actually, I really don't know what's happened to the human race. I will, again, direct you to two films which explains... Well, they don't explain everything, but they illustrate everything in comic form. One is called Don't Look Up, which is a very good film. The other, which might not be a very good film, but it made me laugh a lot, was Idiocracy, from the same chap who did Beavis and Butthead. So if you like Beavis and Butthead, then you might like this Idiocracy film. It's about a future in which the human race... Like I said before, the human race, I think the intelligence of the human race has peaked. We're on the downward slope now. And it seems to be a vertiginous slope. We seem to be getting stupider by increasing increments every year. The stupidification of the human race seems to be out of control. And that's what that film is about. It's flashing forwards, I can't remember how many years, hundreds, to a time when the whole human race is just morons. And if you think about it, that's probably exactly where we're going. Bright people tend not to have 12 children, apart from the certain suspects.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Mentioning no names. Clive says it's called the Dutch Reach. I'm a driving instructor. One of my learners said to me a while back, will we be using the Dutch oven method from now on? Several hours later, I managed to stop laughing, and we did some driving, says Clive. 0345 6060 973. Apropos of nothing at all, one of the most extraordinary things I saw, I think I've ever seen, I saw this week. And instead of trying to get a seat to Oppenheimer, I went to the Abbot thing. What's it called? Abbot in space, or it's Abbotastic, or that thing out in the Docklands. Now, I've seen dinosaurs running around on screen, and they look pretty real to me. And I've seen a man drive a motorcycle off a cliff, and he actually did it. And it looked, it was real, so it looked real. But this thing, it's actually extraordinary. I spent much of the time before I thought, I'm not going to try and figure it out anymore, I'm just going to enjoy it, not being able to believe my eyes. It actually looks like they're really there. I mean, I know that people told me this, and this is the sort of word about this thing, Abba the Experience, or I can't remember what it's called, but something like that, the Voyage or something. And people had said, yeah, it looks like they're there. And I took on board that information, but didn't really believe that my eyes would not detect the difference. But it really does look as though they're there. And I still have no idea how they did that. And one of the best things about it, I think they deserve a shout-out because they're often overlooked. The staff were fan-bloomin-tastic. I mean, so nice. It was extraordinary. It's not a cheap thing by any means, but I would say it's definitely worth it. 0345, but it's completely sold out, so, I think it's sold out from now until the end of time. Until the sun explodes in the sky. Then you might get a seat. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
LBC. Nick Ferrari at breakfast.
Another walkout by the junior doctors starts next week, and the mood hasn't been helped by the Prime Minister saying this last week on my show.
We were actually making progress. We practically eliminated the number of people waiting 1.5 years. What happened? We had industrial action.
The union hit back.
It's clear as day. 98% of doctors voted for this strike action. The vast majority of doctors are very angry at the Prime Minister.
And now you face more delays as doctors strike again. Join me, Nick Ferrari, next week from 7 for the full details and, more importantly, for your calls.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Listen on your radio and on Global Player. LBC.
With BT, staying in has never been so good. Now you can get BT broadband, even at ultra-reliable full fibre, from only $27.99 a month. Plus a £20 money-back speed guarantee and Norton security. Don't wait. Offer ends 17th of August. Switch to BT today and win at staying in. New customers, CPI plus 3.9% increase each March. $9.99 up front, 29.3% coverage. 24-month contract terms apply.
Go, get in! Move it! What's wrong with the car?
Flat battery.
What? You absolute...
It's okay, lads. I'm with the AA.
Oh, lovely.
With more expert patrols in more places, we'll get you back on the road in no time. Join the UK's best breakdown service from $7.50 a month. The AA, always ahead. New customers only, T's and C's apply. Verify best and patrol numbers at theaa.com/best.
Do you want ketchup?
Whether you're grabbing a bite to eat in the garden.
Oh, look who it is.
Or catching up with old friends. Make sure you hear Summer at full volume with up to £500 off our latest tech and interest-free monthly payment plans. Book your free hearing check today at bootshearingcare.com. Boots, with you for life. Offer ends 31st of August. Phone app life and slim technology only. 10% deposit required. T's and C's apply.
At Lloyds Bank, we know it's important to give your child financial independence, whilst also keeping them safe online. Especially when over 2 in 5 parents say their children use social media to buy things at least once a week. For useful guidance on teaching your children how to shop smart and safely online, search Lloyds Bank Family Finances. Lloyds Bank, by your side. Sourced from YouGov PLC survey of 1,067 UK parents on children's finances, June 2023.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
And I can't stand him.
0345 6060 973. Ollie texts, if Sir Mogg knocked on your door and asked to have dinner, would you let him in or tell him to go away? I know you are 73 years old, so you must secretly be a Tory and a Sir Mogg fan. I am not 73 years old. And if he'd knocked on my door and asked to have dinner, well, it would very much depend on whether he was paying for it. I mean, he certainly isn't coming in and I'm cooking him dinner, but he could take me to somewhere exquisite and we could occupy separate tables. How does that sound? 0345 6060 973. Let's have Bermondsey, Lavinia Grace.
Oh, hi.
Lavinia
How
Grace.
are you, Nick?
I am great, mate.
Lovely to hear your voice. It really is, Nick.
Is it?
You know that? Yes, it is. Well, what I'd like to talk about is...
Yes?
Are you there?
Yes?
Yes. What I want to...
I'm hanging on your every word. You said what I'd like to talk about, and then there was an echoing silence.
It's had to do with Prince Harry.
Prince Harry, right.
Yeah, and what I want to say now...
Mm-hmm. You want to say...
Want to score some pot?
Mm-hmm.
No. I'm very concerned about his well-being at the moment.
Are you?
Yes, I am, because I'll tell you why, Nick.
Why?
Because he is lost. And if he was really...
Back up. He's a what?
Sorry. Lost soul.
A lost soul? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, what
Yes,
makes you
a
say
lost
that?
soul. Because if he was really, really happy...
Yeah. Happy.
Yes.
And then?
if he was really, really, truly in love and happy, he would not be behaving as he does when he's over here fighting these silly court cases with the press. Okay, hold on. Then...
Who are you telling to hold on? Me, or is it somebody there who's interfering with you?
Sorry, I'm actually trying to get my words out at the moment.
Right.
Nick, right. All I want to say is that I'm really concerned about his health. And what I want to say this... No, hold on, Nick, please. Because I'll tell you why I'm like this.
Why?
And I'm actually feeling like this.
Yes.
Because before I saw his picture in the paper, I had this feeling in my heart that there's something awful with him. Something. He's not a happy bunny.
You got a sensation?
Yes.
Right, as though the universe was speaking to you.
Yes, but it was...
They said, wake up, Lavinia.
No, Nick, it was speaking in my heart. And
right, you're hearing voices. Yes.
No, not that. It was coming from my heart. H-E-A-R-T. Heart.
Yeah.
Thank you. And what I want to say is about Prince Harry is that he looks so... what's the word? Actually, so unhappy, and he looks like he's lost. You know, like a lost soul. And what I want to say, if William, Prince William, hold on, Nick, if Prince William is listening, and also Kate, I would like them, to reach out to him.
Right. Well, you seem to be spending a lot of time thinking about this, Lavinia Grace.
No, I'm not thinking about it because I see a picture in the paper, Nick.
Yeah.
Please.
The pictures in the paper have been deliberately selected to make him look sad.
But he can't be happy because if he was really, really happy, Nick, he would not be behaving the way he has done over here.
Behaving the way he has done, which was taking people to court for what looked to me like justifiable reasons, is not a bad thing.
What's he gained out of it? What has he gained?
What would he gain by ignoring it? You think the right-wing press are going to stop their constant attacks?
No.
No. Exactly.
No,
so he's supposed to just stand there taking a pummeling over and over and over again. No, I'm on the side of Hazard and Sparkles.
Well, I'm on his side, but what I want to say, Nick, if he was being, actually fulfilled within his heart. If he was really, really fulfilled and really, really happy, he wouldn't want to have the energy to waste over here because he would try to put the energy within his family over there.
Right, okay. I think you're spending way too long thinking about this, Lavinia Grace. Spend a little bit more time thinking about somebody who actually needs your concern. He's doing just fine. Don't you worry about him. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @lbc. Let's see now. Philip in South Norwood. How concerned on a scale of 1 to 10 are you about Prince Harry?
Oh, on a scale of 10, 4.
4?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
The reason I brought in, Nick, I was having, you mentioned earlier on about the film, the Mission Impossible, I was looking at, I found a list of films that when they first came out, Nick, they were regarded as flops. Or they had negative reaction. And your producer was surprised at some of the titles. I mean, The Rocky Horror Show...
The Rocky Horror Show open to complete disinterest all around and has pretty much never been off the screens worldwide since.
And they reckon, Dick, the reason why it became successful is that they put on midnight shows, you see.
And then people used to dress up in all manner of costumes.
Disgusting.
Awful.
The film A Wonderful Life, which everybody seems to talk about today, when it first came out in 1946, it didn't throw waves. I think people's memory of the appearance over the years has turned it into the film that everybody says, well, we've got to watch that at Christmas or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think most great films were flops on arrival. If you look at the films that have made the most money, it's like the best selling of everything. Is the best selling bread the best bread you can find? No, it's the worst bread you can find. It's white foam. Yeah. And it's the same with everything.
I mean, the title was amazing. I mean, look at it in front of me. Blade Runner, Donnie Darko, Fight Club, Wizard of Oz even.
Yeah.
Citizen Kane, The Shawshank Redemption.
Right.
And a film that, when I first saw it the first time, I thought it was a weird film. I still do. Have you ever seen Harold and Maude?
Yes.
I mean, it's a great... I mean, I love Ruth Gordon. I mean, I've seen her in several... But I thought to myself, what's going on here?
I mean, the first 10 minutes... Well, the first 5 minutes, you'd think, well, this is not a film for me. But just stick with it, and it may prove rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, she was... but some of them others, I mean, Willy Wonka, you would have thought a film like that would have been instantly... successful.
I maintain that the best selling of everything is usually the worst of its type.
Yeah. I mean, this film that everybody's come out, this film this week, I gather it came out too late for certain film critics to review in their columns.
What's that?
This Meg 2, The Trench.
Meg 2?
Yeah, it's the story of... I haven't seen it. It's about a giant shark, I think.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Warning.
Yeah, giant shark. Yeah, we're going to need a bigger boat. Yeah, no, I think it's... I've read reviews, and I'm not remotely interested. If it's Jason Statham, then it's No. From me. Unless it's that film with Melissa McCarthy, which is called Spy. That is a funny film.
It's Melissa McCarthy, the star of one of my favourite sitcoms. Was she in Mike and Molly?
I have no idea, but she was in that film Spy, which also had Jason Statham and that English guy that hangs out in Notting Hill a lot. What's his name?
Hugh Grant.
No, the other one.
Oh, was it a good film? This Spy film with her in?
It made me laugh.
Oh, I might check it out. One final thing.
And in closing,
did you see the story from America about a woman who got married and she's complaining about the presents she received from people because she says that she spent $200 per plate on the food and the presents didn't match up to it?
Well, that must be disappointing.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, after all, it's the thought, isn't it, behind the present? It's not so much.
Not really, no. I think it's the money. But anyway, thanks a lot, Philip. Cheers, mate. 0345 6060 973. What's his name again? You just put it up there, and the moment you took it away, I forgot it again. What's his name? Go on. Jude Law is the correct answer. Yeah. If you want to amuse yourself with a comedy, then I do believe that Spy film... It was just called Spy, with Jude Law and Melissa McCarthy and Jason Statham, may make you giggle just a little bit. Dal says, I hear no one knows where Nadine Dorries is at the moment. Could she be delivering pizzas, as she doesn't appear to be economically active right now? No. Still coining it in, though, eh? She's busy redefining the word immediately. I just cannot believe what's going on in this country. We seem to have become a joke country. The people who are running this country, I mean, you wouldn't trust them to wash your dog, would you? And yet they continue to be able to do it. Year after year after year. And you know whose fault that is? Our fault. Just like everything else that ails humanity, it's our fault. You know.
The little people. But it ain't like you think. It ain't leprechauns, don't you see? It's little men from Mars or somewhere. And it ain't a toadstool they're under. It's a spaceship.
Yeah, all these things are facts. I want you to write that down. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nica@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Have we dealt with any of the issues on this programme yet?
No.
No. None of the ones that I was going to talk about last night so far, and none of the ones that I thought I was going to talk about tonight so far. I expect it's my fault. Or it's...
It can only be attributable to human error.
Human error. That's what it's attributable to.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Yeah! Dude!
I think he's portraying a quite stupefying ignorance.
Thanks, Bodge. You're the best. You're the best, worst Prime Minister we've ever had, with one exception.
Absolutely.
Just one. Steve emails, can we not blame global warming on Brexit? Yes, we can. Liam says, food is cheap here because we import 40% of it from the EU, and we don't charge them any import or safety check fees because we don't do any safety checks. That's right. The EU, on the other hand, check everything our farmers and fisher persons and other food producers send, and they put tariffs on everything that doesn't have a negotiated exemption. Correct. We insisted on being treated as a third country outside the EU, and we've been complaining ever since that the EU is treating us as a third country. It makes about as much sense as anything else that I've heard this year. Any thoughts, Nige?
I'm a nutcase.
0345 6060 973. Plymouth. Rose.
Oh, hello, Nick. It's West Devon, really, but never mind.
Well, Plymouth is in West Devon. Any fool know that.
Any fool know that, yes, but I'm miles away from there. Never mind, we won't go into that. I put myself off my stroke now, sorry. It's about this...
Do you want some time to reset? Just take a pause.
Oh, it's all right.
Off you go.
You know, this person saying that people could do worse than work for Deliveroo. It's that I wanted to just say a few things about.
Yeah.
Well, I just thought to myself, honestly, I've come to feel that the whole point of their every utterance is simply the patronising effect. I honestly have come to that conclusion that that's what and all they're about as far as we're concerned. An attitude. I mean, you could imagine them. I found myself doing this, brushing people away with the back of my hand. You know, oh, these people. People like they talk about these people, you see.
Yeah, exactly.
My view.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Waving us away. You know, why don't they budget properly? Why don't they, get on their bikes? And I just think they've got no business pronouncing on the choices people make for their lives. I heard 2 or 3 calls on this. I haven't listened to a lot, and there was there was a tinge of guilt in the voice of the caller. And I thought, well, the person might have been wanting to write a marvellous novel. Or they might have... I had a chimney sweep once, it was a great bloke, who finally stopped his business and lived frugally to do his painting. He was an extremely talented artist.
Right.
And what is happening, Nick, you see, it seems to me, is they're repeatedly putting the ordinary population in our place. In whatever they say, the foot is pushing us down to expect nothing. And the tone of voice in that silly Rees-Mogg, his whole purpose was to talk down and patronise. This will be good for people.
Yeah.
Give certainty. How dare he talk to people like that?
No, I think you slipped into Margaret Thatcher there for just a second there. Should give certainty where there is discordance.
Yes, how
may we bring
dare
hope?
He quote St Francis. Yes, yes, exactly, Nick. That's what happened earlier because I was talking to myself, you see, and then I think, well, that's quite good. I write it down. I went, this will be good for people. Give certainty. And I thought, that's bloody Thatcher.
Yes.
And I mean,
and it was St Francis of Assisi, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, how inappropriate is that, Thatcher quoting St Francis? I mean, really. It's like they keep making patronising suggestions under the guise of practicality.
Yes, this is what's good for you.
It's a good idea, isn't it?
Where there is discord,
and actually, that's not what it's about.
May we bring harmony.
Oh, stop! It's just driving me crackers.
Yes.
And I wonder...
I tell you why they're doing it.
I'm going on a bit, aren't I?
No, that's all right. I'll tell you why they're doing it, for a couple of reasons. First, their every pronouncement is loved by the right-wing press, who seem to be using the regime as their personal puppets. They're just dancing them around on a string, the various... the very limited number of offshore billionaire newspaper barons who actually appear to be running this country. And so the Tories' pronouncements are mostly directed at their behest.
Them.
And if while they're doing that, they can stick it to the libs, the wokerati, as they're now termed, then that's all the better, because their fans love it. Even if the policy is bad for their own voters, their voters still love it because it upsets the liberals, small L liberals. Yeah,
I've known people like this, and I'm wondering whether the end of all this is because the country's just virtually destroyed, isn't it? Is that they're creating a country with a mass of low-income folk languishing at the bottom, while they and the other millionaires swan about from their various homes around the world, because Mog's father wrote a book describing that as a utopia.
Disaster capitalism. Yeah, how to win when everyone else is losing. I can't remember exactly what the title of it was, but it was something of that order.
I know the title.
Which is basically a manual that is being followed by the current regime. What's the title?
Sovereign Individual.
Right. No, I thought it was
sovereign individual.
I thought it was something.
There's two.
Yeah, I believe there's two. Yeah, there's how to benefit from the destruction of everything that we hold dear. Something like that.
Oh my God! I mean, they don't even hide it, do they?
No, that's the extraordinary thing. They're not hiding any of it, and they're getting away with all of it. I mean, that's the incredible thing to me. That all the billions that went missing during the COVID crisis. Where are they? Is there any investigation of any kind into any of it? I don't believe there is.
No.
At least in America, if you break the law, even if you are the President of the United States of America...
I'm President! Can you believe it?
You will get charged and legal proceedings will ensue. In this country, you will not go to jail for anything if you are a member of the ruling elite. You will only go to the House of Lords.
Well, we might as well be in the third world then, mightn't we?
It does seem to be like a tin pot dictatorship that we've got here, yeah.
Or France before the revolution.
Yeah, yes.
It's almost like that. We've just got a different sort of aristocracy.
Yes, exactly.
But everyone else is being just pushed down all the time.
And I've said this for years. The people are being persuaded that the reason their lives are not working out very well is because the people below them on the ladder are pulling them down. The truth is that the people above you on the ladder are pushing you down.
And you meet people who say this to you, don't you? They, it's all the fault of those people down there. They're getting free school meals. They don't deserve free. That sort of thing. People say that sort of thing to me.
Well, there was a YouGov poll this last week, which put 35 different expenses to the public and asked the public what individual expenses people should be able to afford on various incomes. And if unemployed people, if you're on benefits, they were asked about 35 expenses, and Britons think 76% of Britons think that people on benefits should be able to afford their utility bills. 76%, which means that a quarter of the people of this country do not think that people on benefits should be able to afford their utility bills. The same number do not think that people on benefits should be able to afford a balanced diet. The same percentage do not think that people on benefits should be able to afford school uniforms for their children. A quarter.
My God.
And I bet at least 50% of the people that said that were actually on benefits.
Really? You don't think... No, you can't have got this wrong. I mean, you don't think that they thought the question was, can people on benefits afford these things?
Do you think
Definitely
that?
Not. No.
Yeah.
They should be able to afford it.
Yes, of the 35
No.
it says of the 35 expenses we asked about, most Britons believe that 10 of them should be affordable to all, even those who are out of work and on benefits. But the percentage is about 75%, which means that a quarter of people do not think that people on benefits should be able to afford gas or electricity, food, and school uniforms for their children.
So they deserve to starve. Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah. And that is the conclusion that I am coming to. Yeah, it's extraordinary. Labour voters, you will be unsurprised to learn, are the most permissive on living standards. Conservative voters are absolutely not. They love a bit of punishment being dealt out to those who are less fortunate than themselves.
Yes. It's
staggering, actually. It really is. I know, me too. Yeah, and this is why I have to stop looking at Twitter, because it doesn't do you any good. It just dips you in this vat of misery and fury. People flailing their arms around, trying to connect with anything apart from the thing that is actually doing them wrong, which is out of reach, which is this lot.
My view.
Those people.
Well, don't do Twitter, because I get in a state when just somebody on a bus, says to me, well, I think all unemployed people should just be left to starve.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
They should be ground.
Taxi driver.
They should be ground up into meat and served as hamburgers. People, you're eating people. All right, thanks a lot, Rose. Keep your chin up. It might never Oh, no. That's right. It already has.
This is LBC. Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
How may I help you?
How may I help you? I am here to assist. The doctor is in. 0345 6060 973. Lewisham. Hello, Chris. Oh, Chris.
Hello?
Yes,
hello?
sir.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
One more time.
Hello?
Yeah. Your time is running out.
Yes. Hello?
Say something other than hello within the next 2 seconds. Time's up. 0345 6060 973. Well, I can only stand so much. Paisley, Alistair.
Hello, I found something to spice up your show.
Yes.
The Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah.
You hear me?
The Guinness Book of
Hello?
Records, yes.
Yeah, most of it is nonsense, but there's some very good ones. I think I'll read that to you. I've written down 90. The longest bridge in the world.
Wait a minute, wait, Alistair. Did you just say that you've written down 90 records from the Guinness Book of World Records?
It took me about a year.
and you're going to read them.
90,
and you're going to read them for me now.
No, not the whole lot. Just maybe three, maybe three or four.
Okay, three. Okay.
The longest bridge in the world. You know what that is?
The longest bridge
in the world.
Bridge. I don't know. Leave that with me, Alistair, and I'll have a full report on your desk first thing in the morning. 2 in a row on the Nicky Abbott Show. Gabby says, given that capitalism and environmentalism are incompatible, we're going to have to rely on alien intervention, aren't we? Yeah. I do believe that is true. Yeah. Did you see the trees thing? More than 400,000 trees have died within years of being planted by national highways to compensate for road projects in England. The government-owned company provided data for only 9 of its 38 big road projects after a Freedom of Information request by the Times. So the true figure is likely to be much higher.
Oh, no.
At Chowns Mill Junction in Higham Ferrers in Northamptonshire, the Tory MPs Peter Bone and Tom Pursglove attended you know Peter Bone and Tom Pursglove? Yeah, that's them. They attended a ceremony under 2 years ago to mark the planting of the final few saplings. 3/4 of the total planted later died.
Oh, fabulous.
It must be their special touch. Of the almost 1 million trees planted since 2018, about half have died. Experts said the figures show that organisations are still focusing too much solely on how many trees are being planted rather than the aftercare which ensures their survival, which implies to me that it was just for a photo opportunity. And that anything other than getting a headline was not a primary concern. Not one of your priorities.
It's the country's number one priority. It's my number one priority up and down the country, and that will be our focus.
Yeah, he's doing exactly what Bodger did.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Just spending his entire time showing up for photo opportunities wearing other people's work clothes. This is how we're being run now. It's just the government of distraction. So they planted 1 million trees using our money and then just left them to die because they got the big headline, look how great we are for the environment, we're kind to trees, planting loads of them we are, and then they left them to just wither where they were stuck in the ground. Great. Experts think that increasing extreme weather under climate change, such as prolonged hot and dry spells, is playing a role in driving up the tree deaths. Ironic. No?
Yes.
Yeah, because the trees were killed by the very thing they're supposedly planted to address. But it's worse than that, because the saplings weren't just planted as an addition to the trees that we already have, they were in place of the mature trees that we used to have before they paid paradise and put up a parking lot.
Rock and roll!
Or in this case, a series of roads. And Joni Mitchell has a new album out, by the way. I listened to it the other day. It's a live album, and it is a joy. And I recommend it to the house. Great to have her about. The trees were planted at the end of the 2020 planting season, just as the country went into drought. Last year there was a 40 centigrade heat wave. Local residents watched as the trees failed. I mean, they tried to do their best. They put mulch down and they watered them and so on, but locals can only do so much. I mean, it's 1 million blooming trees. That's a lot of watering cans, isn't it? So the government stuck them in the ground, and only the government has the resources to actually make them work. But they couldn't be bothered to make them work, because that doesn't get headlines. The headlines part is the sticking in the ground of 1 million trees. After they got the headlines and the photo opportunity, and they were presented with a magic shovel, then they shuffled off and couldn't care less anymore. An absolute shower. And this story was reported in a couple of news websites. I'm reading the one from the Times, and the Mail's version of the story, for my, I could call it amusement, but I'm usually less amused and more appalled. I scan down, I just can't help myself. I'm my own worst enemy. I scan down to the comments section and usually click on the best comment to see what that is. And on this story, the best rated comment on the Mail Online was, "Of course the trees died. The reason is because the net zero nonsense is starving the trees of CO2 they need to grow and survive. It will be all the plants next which give us our food." Which is the sort of knuckle-dragging comment you would expect of someone who thinks experts are part of the wokerati and they've done their own research. You know, those people. I think the human race has had its chance and we failed. Big time. Huge. 0345 6060 973. Oldbury, Ranjit.
Hey, Nick.
Ranjit.
Right.
Yes, great, mate.
Yeah, good. I want to talk about dinglings just for a bit, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, you had Mike from East Yorkshire talking about the Afghans.
No.
Well, a few years ago...
Oh, yeah.
In Afghanistan,
Right,
being thrown out the hotel.
Yes.
A few years ago, I always get confused between Hinckley and Nuneaton because they're right side by side, but I think it was Nuneaton that was given the freedom of the city to the Gurkhas. Yeah, the Gurkhas who fought...
Right. Wherever that is. Mm-hmm.
It's in Warwickshire.
No, I wouldn't think so.
You're not too far from... But they give them the freedom of the city, and the far-right organisation had a counter-march against them.
A major cow, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, you got the SAS, who are, one of the bravest soldiers, in the world, and then the British, that's the British, and the Gurkhas, who fought for us in the Second World War. So where do these dinglings get their brains from? Because the Gurkhas are brown in skin colour, yeah? And then the government...
Wait a minute, are you talking about a protest that happened how long ago?
Probably, I don't know, about 10 years ago.
10 years? You're talking about a protest that happened 10 years ago. Do you have anything to say about something that happened in this decade?
No, what's happening now, with these, the Afghans that helped our army to translate and this and and we've brought them over here.
Well, we brought precious few of them over here.
Yeah, they're going to get persecuted.
Many of them are virtually under house arrest in Pakistan. They can't leave their abodes for fear of being targeted once they leave them, and are in danger of being sent right back to the people that they helped us in our attempts to defeat, which would mean they're almost to certain death. And our attitude is, never mind. They were foolish enough to help us. They won't make that mistake again.
Yeah, because now they got that barge parked up in wherever it is, Bournemouth or Portsmouth. Now that they can't get the people on there, they keep on trying to change us, change and distract everybody. Right now, the fire brigade. I was listening to your station this morning, and there's an ex-fire officer. He said that is a walking time bomb. Because
but what do firemen know about fire? I mean, they're only experts. What does a non-expert think?
The dinglings know a lot better than what the experts know, and that's the impression I'm getting off you now. Maybe we should put the dinglings in power, or are they already there?
Yeah, I think that ship sailed, Ranjit.
And the other one, now what's happening in Pakistan? Imran Khan, he's been sent to jail, right? For 3 years for selling some gifts he had, which they allege belong to the government. We don't know what's happening. But look how quickly that's happened. It's happened in a matter of months, And this Donny, he's going to be dragging on for 3 or 4 years, So I don't even understand what the world agenda is now, because Imran Khan,
I'm not sure that Imran Khan is his case is related in any way to the Whiners case.
I'm a whiner and I keep whining and whining.
I don't think the two are connected in any way.
No, they're not connected. No, they're not
These
connected.
These are just further examples of the degeneration of humankind.
Yeah, because Imran Khan went all over the world doing good things, Okay.
Well, you know what? I don't know anything about this Imran Khan case. We don't know,
but once I know, he's been put into prison. Yeah. So why isn't the Don in remand? He should be in remand then, shouldn't he? If I was one of them...
On remand, if only they could get one big enough, they'd put an ankle bracelet on him.
Yeah, and then they could take Bodger Johnson and Nigel Farage.
And a whole lot of them could just share a cell together. Yeah, all right. Okay, good work. Got to go, Ranjit. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Neil texts, Nick, apropos of the text you received 20 minutes ago, your assistant being referred to as they made grammatical sense. No, it didn't. He's not two people. He's one person. Perhaps the texted, whose name I don't recall, didn't remember the timbre of the assistant's voice, but nevertheless wished to tell the story, in which case they is the pronoun of a single, indeterminate subject of that kind. No! They is plural. Nick, it's not rocket science, just remember the knock-knock scenario. Knock-knock, who's that at the door? It's a neighbour. What do they want? Here, the second question is chosen over one such as who, or which neighbour, nothing to do at all with the tofu-eating rokarati tonight. Oh, Struth, that's just way too long. And dull.
Boring.
Did I mention dull? 0345 6060 973. Let's see if I can squeeze one in before the news. Let me see now. I'll be fair about this. Who's been waiting the longest? Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Nick. I phoned up. This guy, who is this guy, Jeremy Vine? I don't know who the hell he is. But apparently he's come out with a statement saying that anybody in Scotland who discusses independence in the workplace should be fired, should be sacked.
Who said that?
Because it's causing dissent.
Who said that?
Jeremy Vine.
Jeremy Vine? What's it got to do with him?
Well, I don't even know who he is.
Well, leave it with me, Jeff, and we'll make some investigations. I've got no idea either. But he should mind his own blooming business. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. 11:30 on LBC, the news headlines with Tim Daly.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbot. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Yeah, sadly, yes. Jenny texts, don't worry, Nick. Mog will just be delivering your meal with a bit of luck. Yeah, he calls, he rings my doorbell, asks me if he can come in for dinner. What he actually means is he's just delivering pizza.
My view?
Yeah, my view is you get no tip. You're 30 minutes late, it's free. Patrick emails, Nick, given that 57 World Triathlon Championship swimmers felt sick and suffered diarrhoea in Sunderland, well, they didn't go in the water, did they? Do you think that they will herald a bright new dawn of British gold medals? British immune systems will be truly world-beating with all of our British sewage exposure. Another Brexit dividend that they should have been put in a bus, says Patrick. I didn't hear about that. They had a World Triathlon Championship in Sunderland, and the swimmers made the mistake of going into the water. Did they? Big mistake. Huge. They won't make that error again. Let's have a call in Horton Regis. Craig.
Oh, no.
Craig.
Yeah, sorry, I sound very posh from outrageous. I'm from Luton originally.
Oh, yes.
How you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Yeah. Oh, it's nice to be on. I mean, I don't know why at this time. The missus is passed out on the sofa.
Oh, yeah. Any reason for that?
Booze.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, many, yeah. No, we did have quite... No, she's not even eating dinner. What are we on about? Oh, bloody hell. Anyway, off the subject. What subject are we talking about?
I'll get back to you, Craig. 0345 6060 973. Luke texts, the government is so useless it's become a satire. When I see pictures of Boris, I want to smash things. I loathe that creep so much. Any comments, Bodge?
I can't comment on that.
Can't comment on that. Blah, 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 blah. I know what you mean. The Mail has videos of him going, because they've spent a stupidly large amount of money on having him as a columnist. They must be pulling their hair out, because I cannot believe that he's pulling in the business. I mean, the stuff that he's writing about, I mean, it's just... I don't get it. As a business decision, I think it's a poor one. But in order to drum up some interest, they got videos of him on their website trying to direct you to his column. And it just looks worse every single week. I mean, you'd think a man who is trying to bring in business would just try, I mean, I know it's his act, but it only goes so far. I mean, we were amused, as far as it goes, by his hair. But if the rest of him matches that, it's a bit of a turn-off, isn't it? I mean, you just don't want to look at that. He's dribbling on about newts or something, and it's just, I mean, really. And it is infuriating. I mean, he is not known for telling the truth about much. Liar! And to have him have the nerve to be, belly aching on about whatever it happens to be that week I mean, you know that you would start from the position of thinking everything that man has just written is a lie, and then working back from it to try to find the exceptions to that rule, as opposed to the other way around. I don't get it myself, but I suppose they know what they're doing. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Sandbach. John.
Hi. Excuse me. I can't been killing myself laughing, listening to all this going on.
I know. What a carry-on, eh?
It is a carry-on, really, what you're saying and everything you've said. It's a complete carry-on. But anyway, I'm 70 now and I work as...
70 years old?
In my late 50s and early 60s, and then I worked agency work. And most of it was a local supermarket warehouse.
Yeah.
A Yorkshire-based supermarket warehouse. Mm-hmm. And you used to get... This is, they're telling people to go out and work at the 50s and all that.
Yes.
So I'd get up at 4:30, let's see, 12, 15 miles to the warehouse. You wait there for all the full-time staff to get allocated their equipment, and then the supervisors and all that could turn around to you and to you all and say, "We don't need anybody today. Sorry about that."
You're kidding.
So you get in your car and you drive another blood all the way home again.
Oh no!
And that's regular. That's not just my what happened to me. That's common.
This is our future. This is our future. This is where this country is going. All of that high-wage, high-skill economy, they don't mean for you. They don't mean for most of the people in this country. If you are not doing well already, you will not do well in the future under the current regime.
And there's a bit of a story because I put up with all that rubbish because I needed the money, and my wife, my wife wasn't that well, and I needed the money, so I kept going and all that, and putting up with all the crap. And in the warehouse, you had these little. It was like machine gun nests where the foreman would stand.
What? It's worse than I thought.
Oh yeah, they stand on a podium and they're overlooking the warehouse, and they call you up on the thingy, the tannery and all that. And the straw that broke the camel's back for me is he called me up one day and he said, "I want you to work in the fresh department."
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm dressed for the dry goods department, which means you don't need to be that.
Right. It's not refrigerated.
It's not refrigerated.
Right.
No. I said I'm not dressed for the fresh department because temperature never goes above 5 degrees centigrade.
Blimey.
Oh, well, we need you there. We've got no work in here. I says, well, I'm not going. And it says, I'm going back to work. So I went back to work, pecking and all that kind of stuff. And then they called me back. We need you to go into the fresh department. No, I'm not going. I'm dressed for this department. This is what I came for. And this is what I'm doing. And then he called me back again. He says, well, if you don't go into the fresh department, we've got no work for you. But we've got a coat for you. So we'll find a coat for you that somebody else has worn. I said, you think I'm wearing somebody else's stinky, sweaty old coat? I'm going to work in their old
It's like being back in school, John, where you forgot your PE kit and you had to wear somebody's size 40-inch waist shorts that have been left there for years. They've been sitting in this box waiting for somebody who'd forgotten their kit.
Yeah, I walked out at 8:30 in the morning because it started at 6. I never went back. Right. The agency called me and said, "Oh, you can't do that." And when I think of what happened, I think of that country and western song, "You can take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more."
Good for you. All right, thanks a lot, John. This is our future. It really is. I mean, it's just extraordinary what is happening in this country. over 50s looking for work should consider delivering takeaways, the Work and Pensions Secretary said.
What?
Yeah, the actual Work and Pensions Secretary, Mel Stride, blurted out during a visit to the London headquarters of the food delivery firm Deliveroo. Deliveroo, noted for its high wages and excellent benefits and proven career paths for its drivers. During the visit to Deliveroo, the actual Work and Pension Secretary, Mel Stride, said these flexible jobs offered great opportunities and that it was good for people to consider options they might otherwise not have thought of. There's nothing funny about it. I mean, the reason why somebody of retirement age or someone in their 50s might not have considered being a scooter delivery jockey is because they never in their lives thought that they would have to live under a regime that ruined their life choices to the extent that they would be desperate enough at that age to even think about doing something that used to be done by teenagers and 20-somethings from Eastern Europe before we screamed at them to get out of our country for 5 years, and they did. I mean, previous to this dismal administration, and the dismal one before.
Absolutely.
And the even more dismal one before that. Nobody 50 and up thought they'd have to supplement their income by getting a rubbish second and third job just to be able to afford food. And that is some nerve there, that Work and Pensions Secretary, Mel Stride, telling the desperate and the left behind that they should embrace some low-pay, going-nowhere job of delivering warm food to people that can't be bothered to cook, but would prefer someone to bring them a pizza while they watch Jamie Oliver's new TV show, 2 Minutes Simple Meals for Morons. And what experience does Work and Pensions Secretary Mel Stride have of doing these jobs that makes him speak of them so highly? Well, none, as you ask. He studied PPE. He's another one of those. Philosophy, Politics and Economics at Oxford. One of those people.
Oh, fabulous.
But, you know, he talks like an expert. Actually, he talks like an advert for Deliveroo. He said, what we're seeing here is the ability to log on and off at any time you like, no requirement to have to do a certain number of hours over a certain period of time, which is driving huge opportunities. Huge opportunities. Can these people hear themselves? Stride said, you really do need to sensibly stop. Take where you are in life and assess whether, for example, you've got enough money to get you through with the kind of lifestyle and living standards that you're expecting. And the answer to that is no.
Yes.
No. Unless you're rich. Or living in a better run country. A country that is run for the benefit of the people, rather than a country like this one that is run for the benefit of the people that are running the country. We have among the lowest state pensions in Europe, the worst healthcare, the worst community care, pretty much all of the things that you thought you were paying for with a lifetime of taxation, so that the state could do the right thing by you, are now not things you can rely on. Hence, the actual Secretary of State is telling you that you must compete with a 20-year-old from India for a low-paid, going-nowhere job as a delivery boy in your 50s. I mean, why not tell pensioners to go door to door asking people if they want their car washed or their lawn mowed? Why not tell them to bake biscuits and try to sell them by the roadside? Or maybe pensioners could start a new career begging for change in a railway station. It's flexible. You can set your own hours. Be your own boss. The sky's the limit. I love this bit. Asked whether he would consider retiring early, Mel Stride, 61, said, I'm very happy doing what I'm doing at the moment. He added, of course, as we know in politics, nothing is certain, so who knows where I'll be in many years' time. Well, I sincerely hope you are delivering me a pizza on a moped. And I will absolutely, definitely and certainly not be giving you a tip. And you can bank on that, Mel Stride. What an absolute shower.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Shut up.
0345 6060 973. Camden. Hello, Ellie.
Oh, hey, Nick.
Ellie.
Oh, lovely to speak to you. Hi.
Hiya.
I just wanted to thank you so much. You don't know how much for letting us know that Joni Mitchell has not only come through, she's such a brave and real person from when the world seemed to be a bit more lemon fresh and honest.
Yeah, lemon fresh, that's about right. Yeah, that's right.
And you've just made my night, and I hope it lasts a fortnight. So you are magi of the microphone for the week.
Joni Mitchell has a new album out. It's a live album. But people were just beside themselves delighted that she is back performing, and she sounds great.
She is real. There isn't a lot around that's real, I don't think. But that's just my opinion, but I'm very pleased. I don't have much more to say.
Okay.
Except thank you.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers, Ali. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Aberdeen. Daniel.
Hello.
Daniel.
I'd like to talk about a couple of things, if possible.
Mm-hmm.
Our crackpot government.
Yeah.
We've had just 13 years of chaos. And they like to pit one group against another.
Yes.
George Osborne did it with benefits people again. He said something to the effect of, if you see people with their curtains closed at 10 in the morning, then they're likely to be on benefits. And it's just absurd.
It's the trick that the right-wing play is to blame those with bad luck for their predicament. And,
Yes.
And those who are slightly more fortunate are just willing enough in sufficient numbers to go along with that to keep the regime in power. It's the blaming people below you on the ladder for pushing you down, as opposed to the very small number of people above you on the ladder who are pushing you down.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to suggest that sort of people in the 70s go and sweep the streets.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they've got that in their back pocket, because that would really stick it to the libs. It would cause outrage amongst the Twitterati, the wokey cokey,
Okie-dokie.
those people, which seems to be their very reason for existence now, just to upset those of a more left-wing frame of mind.
Something that occurs to me is that the real snowflakes are the right wing.
Oh, God, are they ever? Are you kidding?
Even when they're winning, supposedly, they're whining and
exactly.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
They never stop complaining. That's right.
No, they don't. It's just... Well, I'm not even going to mention Trump.
Him? He is absolutely famous for it.
I am the most fabulous whiner. And I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
He keeps whining and whining.
I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
Over and over again,
I have, on the subject of Trump, I do have a Netflix suggestion.
Go on.
You know Dana Carvey from Wayne's World?
Yes.
Who played Garth?
Yeah.
Well, he did a stand-up show in there, and his impression of Trump is just outstanding. He's got all the hand gestures down, and...
Well, I do know, I have seen that, but I'd suggest that there's a much better one, and I would imagine that his work has dried up a little bit over the past... Well, although in America, Trump never really went away, so I guess he might still be in demand over there. And you know what? I can't remember what his name is, but I actually talked to him on this show.
Yeah, I heard that.
What's his name? John Domenico.
Yeah.
He has the absolute best Trump impersonation of anyone I've ever seen. So, I think next year Trump is going to be back all over the news in this country like white on rice. So my 50-odd sound effects are going to be becoming very, very useful.
Oh, shut up!
Yeah. Can I talk about that second subject?
Yeah, go on.
About a month ago, I read Jay Rayner's column, I think, in The Observer. And he was mentioning that these tariffs for goods coming from Europe,
well,
they're due to be brought in.
I know the checks are about to be brought in. I think that's what you mean, isn't it? Towards the end of the year, the checks on food that are coming in from Europe are about to be... but they keep getting put off, like the CE change to UK, whatever it is, the UK CA mark, the safety mark on your electrical goods. If you turn your kettle or whatever it is upside down, it'll have CE written on it, which is the safety mark of the European Union. The stupid morons that are running this country thought that nobody would want to buy anything, or their fans wouldn't want to buy anything with E for Europe on it, and so we're going to have to bring in a new safety code, which is specifically for this country, UK CE, a quality assurance mark, and so that means
special.
Yeah, and so that means but the UK CE mark is corresponds precisely to the CE, the European safety mark. The standards are exactly the same. It's just that you're going to have them tested for the same thing to put UK CA on as opposed to CE. So people that manufacture stuff are going to have two testing regimes. They're going to have two different types of products. I mean, the costs are unbelievable. And this is because it makes absolutely no sense other than they just wanted to take the E for European off goods because that's a Brexit benefit in their minds, in the minds of their fans. And so they put that back. That's another U-turn. They've U-turned on the phytosanitary checks and the vet checks and all of that. The checks on food are coming in because it would mean even higher prices and so what we've got now is it's absolutely staggering what we've ended up with. This it's the UKCE quality assurance mark. What we've got now is UK-based companies are going to have to now go to the EU to get their goods certified, even if they're only for this market, because the UK certification is being wiped out because it's not cost effective. So we're yeah, well, you would think so. Yeah, they haven't really thought about anything that they're doing, unless they have thought about it, and their intention is to ruin the economy and put companies out of business. So
it's like they're just sort of floating around in a blue cloud.
Yes, with no direction home. So the net effect now is going to be UK-based companies are going to have to go to the EU rather, to get their goods certified safe, even if they're only for the UK market. But of course, EU certification is decided on in the EU, not here. We used to have a hand in deciding on it when we were in the European Union. So now, where EU rules are applied without our voice in creating those rules, and European companies are now going to be coming here to certify our products to sell in this country. I mean, I know it's a bit complicated and I might not be explaining it very well, but essentially, Europe is now going to be dictating to us what we can sell in this country. Is that taking back control?
No, it raises prices.
Apart from anything else, yeah.
Yeah, all these things do. I mean, business can only absorb so much. Every company is loath about their prices. They can't help it with inflation, but more costs from the EU. I mean, Jacob Rees-Mogg was up right about cheap clothing, cheap food, cheap everything.
Well, to be fair, he never actually said that.
We could have cheaper food, clothing and footwear straight away by getting rid of the protectionist anti-trade tariffs that the EU imposes, and it would be very good for the British people, and it would provide certainty. And I think once there's certainty, the country will begin to reunite.
Why does anybody listen to a single word that man says? He's never been right about anything.
But remember, he's all for the common person.
Well, he speaks like that, so we in this country are trained to be deferential to people with a clipped accent like that, which is one of the reasons why he has adopted that phony persona. Here, Daniel, I've just run out of time in this hour, but thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. He doesn't know anything.
I don't know anything.
What's that again?
I don't know anything.
One more time?
I don't know anything.
He really doesn't know anything. Sir. What a joke. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nica@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
Got to be depressed about.
Oh, blimey, where do I even begin? 0345 6060 973. Jason texts, Nadine Dorries has now been resigning with immediate effect for longer than Liz Truss was Prime Minister.
Absolutely.
Nick says, I just saw Meg 2, The Trench. It made Jaws 4 look like Citizen Kane. Westminster. Hello, Hassan. Westminster. Hassan.
Hi there.
Yes,
Nick,
sir.
Every day I get depressed by how the Tories are behaving, and then even more seeing how Starmer seems to be closely shadowing the Tories. But today I saw a news item which caught my attention, which was that Jeremy Corbyn is considering running for London Mayor, which could be very interesting because that could mean that either Sadiq Khan sort of loses the election, or somebody, or maybe it's one of the Tories win, because they've changed the election rules, so it's no longer first past. It's no longer you had to single transferable vote. It's now first past the post. So if I'm Sadiq Khan, I'd be quite worried because he's already under pressure on ULEZ. Starmer already threw him under the bus. So his role is looking a bit vulnerable. So perhaps he should just swap seats with Jeremy and go into the Parliament.
Well, I don't know whether he's actually seriously thinking about it, but this was at the Edinburgh Fringe, wasn't it? Jezza, Uncle Jezza, said he would have to think about standing for election as London Mayor as an independent candidate. I think he should do it. Do it, Jezza.
I think he should do it. I think he's been treated very poorly by the Labour Party, and I don't see why not. He should do it. And it's just bad news for Sadiq Khan.
Well, it'd be bad news for the current regime, but it might be good news for Londoners, and it might, if the next Parliament, if is led by the Labour Party, then it might drag them to the left a bit.
Yep, absolutely. And I have a theory that Nadine Dorries is going to resign and Bojo will be back. And then it'll be so exciting for all of us who admire Bojo for his tenacity.
His tenacity, is that what that is? Okay, thanks a lot, Hassan. I'm going to have to look up tenacity because it obviously doesn't mean what I think it does. 0345 6060 973. Look at the size of his tenacity. Enormous. Peter says, since the days of Thatcher onwards, people have fallen for the right-wing ideology of the law of the jungle, i.e. out for yourself and to hell with the rest. They managed to turn many people against the idea of living in a community where even many working-class people hate the poor. All this benefits the rich, of course. The right-wing have been allowed to win the argument, an argument of greed, hatred and despair. Wow, I think that's pretty much a summation of where we find ourselves. The poor have been persuaded, bizarrely, to blame the poor for being poor. Yeah. You are most likely to vote Conservative if you are poor. Isn't that weird? I mean, look at the demographics of the last election. The people who voted Conservative are almost all old, poor men. Once you get past 60 and you're a bloke and you're poor, you're almost completely certain to vote Conservative. It's weird. You think that the Tories would be put in place by the rich, but the rich don't vote Conservative, mostly. And the young certainly don't. On that subject, here's calling Guildford. Hello, Peter.
Hello, Nick. Yeah, that was me, actually, that texted, and then I decided to ring in. But that was my argument, that ever since the days of Mrs. Thatcher, people have accepted their ideology, the right-wing ideology, which is the law of the jungle. Get as much money for yourself and to hell with the rest.
Well, it's the Americanisation of British politics. That's where we are going, by the health service and everything else.
Right.
It's who wins takes it all. And this is a rule made by the people who have already won.
That's right. In their world, that suits them. And what they want to do is get society to act in the same way. Now, you've either got a choice. You can either choose to live in a community or a jungle. And what people have allowed the Conservative Party to do, and I'm afraid New Labour as well, what they've allowed the Conservative Party to do is to persuade them that the people that live alongside of them are their enemies.
Yes.
The people at the top that are stealing money from the public day in, day out, whether it be utilities, the banks, you name it, they get away scot-free.
Well, they paint themselves as the victims. We are the victims of whoever it might be, some desperate, unfortunate minority that they can point to and blame for what they themselves are doing to this country. And it's like the small boat people, and it's the people on benefits, and it's single mothers, and the guilty change. The guilty in their minds change from year to year. But the message is still the same. And I go back to the ladder thing again. The reason that your life is not as you might like it is not because of the people above you pushing you down. You should blame the people beneath you pulling you down. And that is essentially where we are.
It is, and it works, though.
It works with just enough people to keep it going.
We've got a situation now where we've got the Labour Party, right, that is moving to the right. It talks about bringing in the private sector and, not have it.
I was really surprised when they said that. I mean, their complaints about the privatisation of the NHS seems to be that the Tories aren't doing it fast enough.
That's right, they are. And what's happening? They've adopted the ideology, and they are thinking in terms of, well, obviously they're supporting big business because they're thinking we can't win without the press, we can't win without big business, because the public, the working classes and so on, support big corporations and the press.
Yes.
They believe in what they say, so we have to move to the right. And you end up with a ludicrous situation, Nick, where someone like Jeremy Corbyn comes along, right, who is a true Democrat, not communist, not some loony lefty, a democratic socialist. And he wants to build more council houses. He wants to fund the NHS. He wants to make sure that children do, little things like eat, and all that kind of thing. And the people have been so brainwashed over the years that they've got it in front of their eyes now. They got their fuel prices going sky high, and then they turn on the tally and they realise, they should realise, that the companies are ripping them off blind. They got the banks, the Bank of England, setting interest rates. And you think to yourself, well, these poor people paying higher mortgages and that, where is that money going? Where's it going? Is it going to the government? It's probably going to the banks to make them more profit. And the people have been so misled, and it's so tragic.
Well, yes and no. I mean, at a certain point, you have to blame the people. I mean, yes, they are being fed propaganda 24 hours a day by those with vested interests in keeping the money, siphoning from the little people, not leprechauns, upwards. yes, there is the propaganda, and yes, it is persuasive. But on the other hand, for crying out loud, we have the internet, which is the greatest source of information that has ever been invented since the paper, not the paper, but paper, and still they will refuse to learn.
That's right. They look at the rich and powerful, and and they make the money, and we're told that they're all wonderful guys. They love us all. They're all trying to make things better. They're not. They want a country where people are desperate. That's how the system works. The more desperate people are, the more they're prepared to accept low wages. It creates fear. If I speak against my boss or I join the trade union, I might get the sack. If I get the sack, I might lose my house and lose my family. And if I lose all that, I might end up on the streets. It's the discipline that keeps the system going. And when are people going to wake up about this?
I have got no idea. I mean, it's past the point that I thought people might have raised a finger of complaint, but we're still persuaded that it's the fault of the people arriving in damp boats on the coast by Dover. It's their fault. I mean, it's just extraordinary how gullible people continue to be. It's not that they're gullible, it's that they insist on being gullible. They want not to know. It's just extraordinary. I mean, I've almost given up. But, happier people live in countries where the wealth distribution is more equitable.
That's right.
Now, I'm not talking about like Cuba, like everybody earns the same amount.
Yeah.
Of course not. Rich people exist in Norway, but more happier people live in Norway because the taxes that they pay are used for the benefit of the people. The people in power appear to be running the country for the benefit of the people, as opposed to in this country and in America, where the people run the country for the benefit of the people that run the country.
When people hate other people, Nick, they've got to ask themselves this question, which is how I look at things. It's quite straightforward. If there's a person without a home, or this person that can't afford food, or they can't, whatever the situation is, you ask yourself this question: would I like to be in that situation? And would I like my family to be in that situation? And if the answer is no, I wouldn't, then you cannot expect it for anyone else. You should treat every human being with decency and respect.
The problem with that, I understand what you're saying, Peter. Calm down, you're going to bust a blood vessel.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry about that.
But I think that the problem with that is it is instinctual in human beings to view those who are experiencing bad luck as being the cause of their own failings. People who are homeless are, and you might not express it out loud, and you might think that you're a better person than this, but the instinctual feeling is it's their fault. They made stupid decisions. They drank too much. They took drugs. They didn't listen to good advice, and they spent their money on stupid things, and so on and so on. It's their fault. Same with illness. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but that's our instinctual reaction. And because it's instinctual, politicians can play on that, and they can persuade you that it is their fault that they're poor or they're homeless or whatever it is. And by that method, you can get people to hate them because you've already made the leap that it's their fault. And so, because it's their fault and they are a drag on society, you think, then it's easy to hate them, and then very bad things ensue from that. Here, Peter, I've got to go, but thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC.
LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
Well, it's about the choices that the government make. I mean, inflation in this country is, it's like about 10%, something like that. So they say. But for most people's experience, it's way more than that. Because food is running at something like 20%. Have you seen the price of butter? It's so expensive now, they put security tags on it. I mean, it's incredible. So most people's experience of inflation is way more than what they're actually telling us. It's it's nearer the price of food, because that's after the roof over your head. That's where most people's money goes. Food, right? You aren't buying the things that they put in a basket to come to a figure for inflation. I don't even know what's in the basket. I mean, it's things that you only buy one of, in a 10-year period, like televisions and e-bikes and stuff like that. So most people's experience is inflation is way more than what they're actually telling us. In Spain, inflation is 2%. 2. Why? Not because they just happen to luck into it. The Spanish government has made it so. They capped energy prices more than we did. They lowered the cost of public transport. They taxed excess profits that corporations are making. And they put in place limits on how much landlords can raise rents. They actually helped the little people.
The little people.
Not leprechauns. And the result is that and none of the above happened in this country, apart from the way in which they capped energy prices, which is not capping energy prices. It's not telling companies that they can't charge over a certain amount. It is giving those companies the difference between what we pay directly and what they want to charge. So it's taking money from us, the little people, and giving it to the energy companies. The government isn't doing us a favour. They're giving the energy corporations even more money. They're not telling them to lower their prices. They're telling them that you can charge whatever you like and we'll just make up the difference. So that's here. In Spain, it's the other way around. And the result is that Spanish inflation is at 2%. Wouldn't that be great? 2%. I mean, that seems like a dream. But it's not heaven, it's Spain. So these are choices that the government makes. And the government has made the choice, ever since Thatcher, really. The Conservative government, the regime, has made the decision that this country must be run along American lines, which is winner takes all. Everybody else, you get nothing. Good day, sir. To quote Willy Wonka, which came up earlier on. And that's where we are. And then they, in order to cement that into place, they get us to pour our ire over the wrong targets by misdirection, gaslighting, and propaganda. And it works a treat. Wake up, sheeple. It's later than you think. 0345 6060 973. York. Hello, Jan.
Hello, Nick.
Jan.
How are you?
Great, mate.
Good. Just before I say what I rang up about, you mentioned trees dying.
Yeah.
Well, I thought everybody knew that you had to look after trees when you plant them for at least a year.
Not the government.
What a complete waste of money.
Yeah.
Awful, isn't it?
For a photo opportunity, I bet.
Probably. Right. No Stride.
Yeah.
I think he ought to get on his delivery bike and see if he could do the job, don't you?
I do. Yes, I would like to see that.
Yeah. And over 50. And are you supposed to go on till you retire? Because that's getting later and later, isn't it?
I think they actually don't want you to retire. They want you to get ill and die early.
That's right.
Before you actually cause the government the inconvenience of asking for a pension.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Because, I mean, I'm going off on a tangent here now, but it's okay having a pension age later if, well, it's not okay, but it's not so bad if you're doing a office job or sat behind a desk, is it? But
right.
If you're doing a manual job, you can't do it, can you?
No.
Can you imagine a roofer or a plumber doing that job when you're 60 odd?
Yeah, or a scaffolder.
You just couldn't do it.
No, exactly.
A scaffolder, yeah. I mean, can you imagine a plumber scrabbling about under a sink? You wouldn't be able to get up off the floor, would you? You know. Because, I mean, your joints get stiff, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
When you get older.
Yeah. Of course, the plumber would have something in his bag for that. A little bit of oil. do you wonders.
Exactly. No, but I mean, seriously, it's no good, is it? When, if you're doing a manual job, you just can't do it, can you, when you get to...
Well, the people that are running us have never done a manual day's work in their lives. They just have no experience of what it is that they're demanding, asking, insisting on people doing. And even if they did, there doesn't seem to be any concern there. An ignorant outsider such as myself might conclude that they just don't care.
That's right, yeah. And going back to the delivery job, what I want to know is, why can't people cook their own food anyway?
Yes. Yeah.
Why have it delivered?
I mean, Jamie Oliver has made a career, made millions of pounds making TV programmes of examples of ever faster ways of cooking a meal. I mean, he's down to 15 minutes now. For crying out loud, people, can you not spend 50... It takes a half an hour to get the delivery. Can't you spend half that time cooking a better meal for yourself?
I know. I don't get it. And it would probably be cheaper anyway, wouldn't it, if you cooked your own?
Considerably cheaper and much better for you.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah. So, I think something's gone wrong somewhere. Yes. But I don't know what it is.
Well, I think it's our fault. Like everything that ails society, Jan, it's we have the power to fix it. It's just that we have decided not to bother.
Yeah, I think it's too late anyway. I think we've had it.
No. Don't say that.
No.
Never too late.
Don't you think?
No, I do not think.
Okay. I'm not so sure myself, but...
Well, wipe that thought from your mind, Jan. Promise me you'll do that.
I'll try.
All right. Okay. Cheers, my dear. Thanks, Jan. 0345 6060 973. Ryan says, doesn't William Windsor spend his time turning up for photo opportunities wearing other people's work clothes too? Yeah. Yeah, he does. It's like when people tell you that Charles ran the Prince's Trust. I bet he didn't answer any emails or read any grant applications. He lost his temper with a leaky pen, for God's sake. These people are our rulers. No wonder that wall isn't straight. What wall? What wall? What wall is straight? A message coming in from next door. Oh, Hadrian's. Hadrian's? Surely not. And you know what? I would have lost my temper with that leaky pen. I don't know why they had to give him a pen that leaks. You know, it was his big day, and he was signing the big book, and they gave him a leaky pen. And it was a very, very small desk. There wasn't really anywhere to put it. I think that part of it could have been done better. I mean, they could have given him a biro. Okay, it wouldn't have looked so magisterial, but just something that didn't leak all over the place. But, you know, apart from that, I agree in every way, shape and form. 0345 6060 973. And it seems a bit rich, by the way. I mean, I know this story came and went, and not much was said about it. I mean, there was a little light outrage, but not much. I mean, it's not like we had a revolution or anything. But giving him, what was it? Something like £40 million a year pay rise? Did you get a £40 million a year pay rise this year? No, I expect the answer is no.
Yes.
No. John says, Nick, maybe those million trees would have fared better had they put them in a tree museum. And then they could have charged us little people $25 just to see them.
Rock and roll!
Exactly. Bodmin, Malcolm.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Malcolm.
I don't know. Previous two callers, Peter and Hassan, advocated Jeremy Corbyn.
Yes.
One for mayor and the other still hankering after him for leader of the Labour Party. Well, if Jeremy Corbyn was the leader of the Labour Party now, the Conservative Party in its present dismal form would be 20 points minimum ahead of Labour.
I very much doubt that that's true.
In my humble opinion.
Well, I don't think your opinion is worth the paper that you would write it on this particular issue.
Because possibly 15% of that 20% are people who could quite easily vote, and a lot of them do vote Conservative, who will come across to the Labour Party. And one example was housing. I think it was Peter who spoke of housing. Well, Jeremy Corbyn wanted to build everybody a house. Trust me, Nick.
What do you mean he wanted to build everyone a house?
Well, Jeremy Corbyn was for everybody having access to everything, and that the government could...
No, I don't think everyone having access to everything is actually true.
Okay.
He wanted people to have access to the internet, which seems vital in this day and age. That seems to be an essential service like electricity.
Yeah, and he wanted to take back control of water, of electricity, of the rail, and everything.
We should never have given that up in the first place.
Look, we're not at loggerheads here, my friend. I would love all that. But the point I make is, until the GDP of this nation increases to 2, 3, 4%, this country is not in a position to take back control of anything.
That's not true, Malcolm. GDP is neither here nor there. We keep being told that we are the 6th richest country in the world. There's only 60-odd million of us. We have plenty enough cash to spread about. The thing is, we don't. Most of the money in this country is held in the hands of a vanishingly few number of people. The rest of us, the little people, get nothing. If that were to change just a tiny bit, then the rich would not be discombobulated, their experience of life would not change. But it seems that the more money you have, the more desperate you are not to lose a single solitary penny of it, and to acquire ever more vast amounts of cash that you would not be able to spend in 10 lifetimes. It's weird. It seems to be the more money you have, the more desperate you are to have more of it. But it's not really helping the human race. It's only helping those who have already won. That is the problem with winner takes all. The rules are written by those who've already won the race. It's a fix. Malcolm, I've got to go because I'm past the news, but thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. It's just past 12:30 on LBC. The news headlines with Tim Daly.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Everything is going extremely well.
Well, I'm not sure about that. 0345 6060 973. Steph texts, I wish people didn't mistake survival of the fittest for survival of the strongest. Darwin used fittest to mean best suited or most apt. In other words, he meant survival of the things best suited to any given environment. Our survival depends on social skills and empathy, but we have created a system in which we have created a system which rewards and promotes people with limited social skills and no empathy. In other words, we reward those who are least suited for life on planet Earth. Well, there's quite a lot in there. I think that the reason that the human race is as successful as it is because when it matters, we come together to defeat a common enemy, be it disease or an invading army or whatever. This is why people are wistful about, the war. It's because people were together fighting for a common goal. After an immediate danger goes, then that sense of togetherness also goes, and we start competing with each other for whatever assets and pleasures are available. And that's when our dark side comes out, and we're not working with each other anymore. We're working against each other, and that sort of well, you could call it anything. You could call it selfishness or competitiveness or aggression, whatever. That can be easily used against you by those with the means for propaganda to persuade you that the enemy that we must work against are, fill in the gap here. Single mothers, benefit cheats, little boat people, all of those things. 0345 6060 973. Brighton. Hello, Ben.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much for taking the call.
Ben.
Can I just very quickly just think about Mel Stride?
Yeah.
Just because when he suggests that people should be sort of pizza delivery people, I mean, I do a very poorly paid job. I work nightclub bouncer.
Right.
And I think you should do my job. I think that'll be a proper lesson in because if you're looking at what his government's plan is, it's no longer about policy. It's no longer about some sort of long-term vision for the country. It simply seems to me that it's about kind of coarsening and brutalising of who we are.
Yeah.
And it does make you feel grimly depressed about the place I live in.
Yes.
I mean, I've just come indoors, and actually, weirdly, I was doing some security at Pride in Brighton, and I saw how well people came together there. I saw how well it happened, and how well police officers and people all worked together. Because there's an awful lot of police that are actually pulled in throughout the whole of the southeast, really, to actually police the event. Yeah. And I thought to myself, look, things can really work. They can really, really work.
Yes.
When everyone's kind of pulling together and we're all sort of like looking after one another. And I saw, there were very, very drunk people, but you had to kind of help out. And there were also just people having a good time. And there were, and I'm sure this will appear on LBC later on this week, there were genuinely police officers wearing rainbow flags.
Uh-oh.
And guess what?
The wokerati.
Yeah, and it didn't actually affect how well the policing was done. The policing was done brilliantly, right? It was done fantastically.
Well, there will be headlines written in the right-wing press that say that this is the ruination of this once great nation, and this disgusting filth should be washed off our streets, or, words to that effect.
There really will be. And the problem with this is I do think that there are probably, if there aren't any votes in it, so to speak, actually getting votes, there are votes in keeping it. If you get people to believe that somehow or other their pockets are less important than this mystical idea they've got of how the country should be, what it should be like, yeah, and that's been taken from them by exactly what I was doing security for today, yeah. There probably is mileage in that, and it's deep. It's as I say, it's deeply depressing.
What's worse, though,
one of the
Ben,
things about your program.
Yeah. What's worse is that we are so far away from the next general election, and if you think it's bad now, just wait.
Oh God, I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah.
I mean, that is shocking. But and actually, this kind of brings me on to what I was about to say, which is about your program. That I've noticed, and this, by the way, is no criticism of your absolutely brilliant program, but I've noticed that even you, who are brilliant at parodying and satirising and mocking this bunch of Muppets, are finding it harder to do so because they are getting nastier, they are getting more vicious, and it is becoming increasingly wearing for all of us. I mean, like I say, my wife came to meet me today. I was at a door and it was such a brilliant day. And she said, "God, this is the way that England should be."
Yeah.
And I was doing security. I was on the kind of like the hard end of it. If
Right.
You like, yeah.
This is the way it can be. It's just that people are easily persuaded that their enemy is those who are beneath them on the ladder. I mean, I keep going to the ladder thing, but it's just very illustrative of where we are. There's a very few number of people above you. They are pushing you down. Their trick is to make you believe that that's not happening, that you are, in fact, being pulled down by the people below you.
Yeah, that's brilliantly put. I mean, that is brilliantly put. And I find it, it's hard to accept that, but that is superbly put.
Right. But
I do wish.
Keep your chin up, though, Ben, because like I said, you ain't seen nothing yet. Alarmingly. All right, thanks a lot, mate. Got to go. 0345 6060 973. Plymouth. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Nick. Lovely to speak to you again.
Julie.
Nick, I've got so many questions.
Yes.
Oh, goodness.
What's your query?
My query is, how can 90% of us not overpower the 10%? I don't understand how we are, the working classes are allowing this government to rule us in the sense of, and I don't mean overpower in a American Donald Trump way, I just mean with our votes, with our minds. I mean,
how are we being persuaded to act against our interests again and again and again? Yeah.
I'm not sure the statistic of how much of our brains we actually use, but oh my goodness, we really need to dig deep because it's ridiculous. I mean, so many people are just not interested or take the crumbs or, and they don't take the crumbs in a sense of like, oh, we're happy. They're not happy, but they still will vote for people that really do not care about their well-being.
Well, you ask yourself this. After 13 years of one party being in charge, is your life better?
No, it's worse.
Right then.
And I know lots of people's lives are worse, but strangely, they've sort of dumbed down. And I don't mean that, I don't mean to be sort of like superior because I'm not. I will put my hand up and say my life is worse. And I think I know why. But these people are living in some delusional manner of, well, we'll go on a cheap package holiday and everything will be better. No, it's not going to be better. You're still going to be miserable.
Yeah, particularly as the hotel that you're going to is in a place that's so hot, it's on fire right now.
Oh, Nick, that's just brought me on to something else I heard over the last couple of days, which a well-known weatherman that was involved in a song, I won't mention his name, has been on LBC over the last couple of days.
He was involved in a song?
Yes, I can't remember the band, but they wrote a song about him.
Really?
And
who's that?
Should I say it or no? I don't know. I don't want to.
Well, I don't know. It depends what you're going to say about him. But
I'm going to say that. I'll say it first, and then I'll say his name at the end if you think it's appropriate. But he's been on saying that he does not believe in climate change, and he's a meteorologist, and he's been on over the last few days talking about.
It's not Jeremy Corbyn's brother. Is it?
Probably, it must be. It must be related to poor old Jeremy. And taking me on to Jeremy...
Are you talking about Piers Corbyn?
No,
someone else.
Should I say it? Have I said anything terrible about this chap that
I don't know. It depends whether what you've said is accurate or not. Is he a TV weatherman?
I've listened to it. Yeah, he said I don't believe in global warming. So he said it quite a few times.
Okay.
Shall I say his name or no?
Yeah, go on then.
It's Mr. Ketley.
Who?
Ketley.
Ketley?
Yes.
John Ketley.
Is a weatherman.
Right.
I'll have to sang it on your show, sorry.
No, that's okay. John Ketley, the weatherman. I mean, I recognise the name, but I can't place the face.
Yes, it's sort of older, I think BBC in the past.
So he's a weatherman, he doesn't believe in weather.
Yes, I know. He believes in global warming, but he doesn't believe in climate change. And I'm missing something in that whole sentence.
He believes in global warming, but he doesn't believe in. I thought it was the same thing.
Yes, I thought they were linked, but I think he said over like thousands of years, weather happens. And I'm like, okay, but I couldn't quite make sense of it. But
right, well, I defer to his expertise, but I would have to say that if the news stories from all around the world include the phrases unprecedented and record amounts of, then I would say that something is happening.
I have to agree with you, and I think it was all related to over the weekend Storm Anthony that you were talking about, and I just don't understand his sentence and his view, but And I don't know whether, I mean, he's a meteorologist. I don't know if he's an expert or a scientist, but I was surprised.
Well, a meteorologist will predict the weather for the next week or so. I think a climatologist is something different entirely.
Well, I'm going to believe in the climatologist and look out the window for me weather.
Good plan, Julie. Good plan. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, you want to know what the weather's like? Just look out the window.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late.
Yes, we are indeed running late. Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Hi, Nick. Hi,
Jan.
Good evening. Yeah, I was ringing up. I had a couple of things to say, but I agree with you with what you've been saying about this Mel slide and this, getting the 50-year-olds in order to get retirees to go out, to go out to work. But what I think is maybe end up being a bit sinister behind it is that, before I go on to that point about something maybe a bit heavy-handed and like more people losing their freedom of choice, but this goes right in the face of any levelling up. I mean, it's like treating all 50-year-olds as being sort of faceless, all being the same. Maybe some have been, quite directors of small companies or self-employed. They might not all be. I don't know.
What's extraordinary is that we live in one of the richest countries in the world, one of the richest countries that has ever existed, and people are reaching what would normally be described as retirement age, and they're having to contemplate competing for non-jobs with teenagers. That's where we are. That's that high-skill, high-wage economy we've heard so much about.
Yeah, it's quite sickening. And what can be worrying is that it might involve forcing people into, because they want to fill the
the forcing part.
Employment. They could do what they did in the past with unemployed people, people having more benefits than they want to pay out. They can force them into work and say they're going to stop whatever money they're on that they're getting.
That is exactly what we are being set up
for.
for.
It's quite sinister, isn't it?
Yes, that's precisely what it is.
It's not fair on those 50-year-olds because they could have been God knows what. You know what I mean? They might. So many businesses folded up during that pandemic and the lockdown and everything, or small businesses, sole traders. They may not have been in those sort of jobs that. Well, it's like that Mel Stide's thinking of a faceless group of people. And
I don't think he's thinking of anything at all. I think he's just blurting out whatever it is that he's been programmed to say by his handlers in the regime. It's just absolutely extraordinary where we are in this country now.
This regime, I mean, it's like... what is it? It's like they're flip-flopping around, aren't they, with green issues? So many issues... flip-flopping around to try and see. It's like
they seem to be engineering people's misfortune and demise, and then blaming those people for that. And it's the trick they're playing with everything. They defund the schools and then blame the teachers for not being able to cope. They defund the NHS and blame the nurses and the doctors for not being able to cope. They defund the councils and blame the councils for not being able to cope. It's the same thing that they're doing for pretty much the rest of society, and having run out of institutions to defund, now they're going to defund you personally.
Yeah, well, this is what I was going to... There was another point I wanted to come to a bit separate to that it's really alarming me, because, as I say, that people are going to be... These older people are likely to be forced into doing work they don't want to do.
Yeah.
And it's a bit, may have nothing to do with the skills they have. But the other thing is that, they talk about fairness and levelling up and making things a fairer society. But it's like this banking business, they're flip-flopping around. I mean, just not that long ago, the governor of the Bank of England, Andrew Bailey, was saying that they've got a broken system for forecasting inflation and things and setting the rate of it. But now he's saying, oh no, now he's flip-flopped the other way, saying, oh no, it's all right, we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's not
now.
a broken system at all. If you believe that the system is actually in place to further enrich the banking racket. And if that is the plan, then it seems to be working very well indeed. It's not an error. They're not continually making mistakes. It seems to be the plan. Got to go, Jan, but thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Camden. Hello, Claire.
Hi, Nick.
Claire.
I want to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
When Fishy, a few days ago, Fishy was interviewed by a female journalist.
Yeah.
And she was asking something, and he answered with robotic 5, 6, 7 words, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, she asked something, her question was something completely unrelated to the first one.
Yeah.
And he answered with exactly the same 5, 6 words.
Yeah.
And is there something in the code of journalism? Can she say, Mr.
Prime
is
Minister.
there something in their code preventing her from saying, Mr. PM, current PM, why do you think it's acceptable for you to show your contempt for the public?
I wish that people would do that. I mean, very, very occasionally, somebody will upbraid someone like Trump or Sunak or Boris Johnson in exactly that way. But there is a. A sort of code that the journalists adhere to because they want access. If they are so rude as to demand an answer of the question they give, rather than just listen to them repeat ad nauseum the answers that they learned before they went on that programme, then they won't get invited to the press pool again, and so they will very likely have their career curtailed. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why they don't. It makes you want to pull your own hair out, listening to these charlatans get away with it and squirm their way and wriggle their way around questions time after time after time. But one of the reasons that journalists don't hold them to account is because they will not be invited into that place anymore.
Yeah, it would be a pity for this journalist, but if I was the journalist next after her, and I would
ask the same question. Yes, that is
exactly.
Precisely what they should do. That's what American journalists decided to, the thought went around. I don't think they really took it up much, but that is exactly what they should do. When a politician says, just repeats the answer and ignores the question completely, then the next journalist should just swallow their own pride and ask the precise same question that was not answered in response to the previous journalist, the entire room should get as one. I mean, come on, journalists, wake up! It's later than you think. You got a job to do, and I think you should work as one against this this tendency to just ignore whatever question is asked and give in response the answer that you learned before you went on that program. Yeah, I got to go, Claire, but thanks for that. I'm just as annoyed as you are. It's infuriating, but like I said, just wait. We got ages to go to the next general election.
Oh, no.
Assuming that they do actually let us have one. I mean, I would not be remotely surprised if they cancelled the next general election for our safety. They'll come up with some reason. I mean, would anybody actually bet hard money against that? At this point, be honest. Douglas texts, it's all very well wanting alien intervention. This is in response to a text some while ago. All very well wanting alien intervention, but imagine you were an alien species. You've invented ways to harness immense power to travel interstellar space at incredible speed, and social skills to live on a spacecraft for tens or hundreds or even thousands of years. And you look at this planet, and you see people squabbling over whether or not to poop in their own rivers and chop down their own forests and poison their own air. Why would you? You'd be like, nah. Let's go back to that falafel place at Alpha Centauri. Yeah, exactly. That is evidence that we have not been visited by aliens. I mean, at best, they would regard us in the same way that we look at a chimpanzee's tea party at the zoo. Oh, look at them, standing on their rear legs. Making nice. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
That's it. Thanks for your calls, particularly the ones I couldn't get around to. Sorry. Brief 3-hour show, and all the texts I didn't read either. I'm very bad at my job. Now, if you missed any of today's show, it is available on Global Player. Exclusive to Global Player, we do the podcast of this show. We take the news and most of the ads out. Means it takes less time to listen to. You'll use less electricity, and you still won't stop climate change. But every little helps. Yes?
No.
You can rewind live radio on Global Player. If you haven't got it, get it for free from your app store or head to globalplayer.com. I'll be back tonight at 10 for my Abnormal Normal show. Coming up at 4, Ollie Dugmore. But now, Clyde Bull. 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 But now,